If there's a road I should walk, help me find it. If I need to be still, give me peace for the moment. Whatever your will, whatever your will, can you help me find it? Can you help me find it?
Praise the Lord, everyone. God has to deal deeply with the character and the integrity of those that He calls for the purpose of His will. And He does that ultimately in the wilderness place. As the opening quote says, that the wilderness place is not a place where we oftentimes like to find ourselves, but it could be one of the most spiritually benefiting places that we'll ever find ourselves. It is at this place that all the carnality is stripped away. It is in the wilderness place when all of our unfaithful structures are exposed, and the Lord looks at the very core of who we are, and we ourselves at that point also are coming face to face with who we truly are in the eyes and in the face of God. It's almost like the Lord exposes ourselves to ourselves, and that happens and that takes place in the wilderness. You have to take a look and you have to remember that it was the children of Israel that came out of Egypt and had to go through the wilderness before they could enter into the land of Canaan. If you'll also remember with me that the children of Israel still thought and still regarded themselves as slaves before they went through the wilderness. And so God had to take them through this so that He could cleanse them, so that He could refine them, and so that He could actually make them think and believe for themselves that they were actually children of God. They had to go through that wilderness process ultimately before they could make it into the promised land, the land of Canaan. This is a place that we need to find ourselves, and sometimes, more often than not, this is the place we need to be. The Lord has ultimately designed this wilderness place, wherever it is in your life. He has designed this wilderness place to be a place of loss and a place of little, so that ultimately when we look at it, we don't have a whole lot, and we have to rely upon our faith in God. And that's what God ultimately wants. He is there to strip away all of our insecurity. He is there to strip away all of our doubt, so that when we look up at it, we have nothing else to rely upon except for God. The apostles had to go through this wilderness place. Jesus Himself went through this wilderness place. Moses had to go through the wilderness ultimately before they could achieve what God was calling them to achieve. We really must begin to enjoy the place where it's just me and God. I want us to all to begin to get used to that place, to get accustomed to that place, to enjoy being in that place. If you'll think with me for just a while, for just a moment, that if you find yourself in a physical wilderness place and you look around, there's not a whole lot of resources available to you. There's probably some trees, there's probably a creek, there's probably a few other things, but there's not a lot of things afforded to you for resource. And that's what the Lord likes to do. I'm not going to provide you with anything except for me. And that's why the Lord likes to use this wilderness place, so that our faith can be built and relied upon Him. Please begin to learn to understand the value of it. Begin to understand the goodness of it. And begin to understand the process by which the Lord takes us, especially those that He has called. And He'll take you through this wilderness place. I want to claim and begin to say that people are beginning to mature because they're going through this wilderness place. I have seen people begin to mature spiritually far quicker than they probably should have. Why? Because they have purposed in their heart to learn and to take value in this wilderness place. Read Psalms chapter 63. I think David gives us some pretty good insight right there about this wilderness place. He calls it the desert. Not a lot of resource, not a lot of things provided to him. But he paraphrases it like this. He says, because I have been in the desert, because I am thirsty and weary and broken, I have beheld you. Because I have had nothing else, because I have no other resource provided to me, then I was able to get and place my eyes upon you exactly where they needed to be.